Well, here we are. Probably can't hear me very well, but this is another office talk. This week I've got two athletes competing at the Northwest Spring Showdown, I think it's called. So it's Matt Henderson and Alison Jones. It's my first comp with Alison. She made it very clear that she doesn't like to know what's on the bar. She's fine with her openers, but mentally she'll start overthinking things once we get to anything heavier than that. Now, it brings an interesting discussion with myself in front of a camera. So Matt, it's my second comp with him, my first time being able to handle him in person as my athlete. For him, we're just going in to try and get 9 for 9. Like, he's not done that recently, if ever. So attempts will be quite conservative. When I'm making attempt selections, I will ask the athlete what they want from the day, what they count as a successful day, what their goals are. So for Matt, he wants 9 for 9. Therefore, well, I mean, he knows the attempt selection or the rough plan, and he's happy with it. So that also brings up the case of if an athlete says to me, I want to go 9 for 9, I could technically just do 75, 80, 90, or 95, whatever. Or, doesn't matter. I could do really, really silly, easy attempts and say, well, you got 9 for 9. That's all you wanted, right? No one ever actually just wants those really small numbers, or relatively small for Matt anyway. So it's a balancing act of doing enough that they get something out of it. It's hard, but then at the same time making it safe enough, or being cautious enough with attempts where it's like every confidence that you're going to get this, even if you like get blinded with chalk and have too much spanner sauce beforehand. So we're going with numbers that we previously missed or we did get from the last comp, and if we missed them, it would be on technicality, like bench we racked early, or foot slipped on the carpet, like small things that it wasn't a case of you're not strong enough to do this. Deadlift, his third from his last comp, was definitely overestimated and just didn't have the strength for it. So his third this time, I wanted to get his third. That was obviously the point of 9 for 9, but I feel that I can go conservative enough but still let him hit PB as a 105. That would be pretty cool. Going back to Alison though, with not wanting to know what's on the bar, this would be my first case of that. I've not really had an athlete not want to know. I've had an athlete not have any opinions, so I've gone to them after their second or their opener and be like, right, here's what I think. Do you have any objections? Do you want to go up? Do you want to go down? And have a very short conversation, because you only get a minute to hand in an attempt. Have a bit more of a discussion on like a third deadlift, for example. But some athletes are like, don't know, you choose. It's your job. Like, yeah, it is, fair enough. But yeah, for not letting the athlete know, it's going to be interesting, because my instinct is to be like, are you happy with this number? Because some athletes, I'll want to go up 7.5 kilos. They might only want to go up 5. In that case, we're going up 5. I'm not going to make you do more for no reason, especially if you're not comfortable with it. On the flip side, some athletes, they want to do a 10 kilo jump. I might having to talk down to 7.5 or even 5 sometimes, but that's part of the game on the day, really. But yeah, obviously I'm just not going to ask Alison what she wants. I'm just going to write it down, going to hand it in. She also came with, right, she wants a bench PB and she wants a total PB. Well, she wants 400 kilo total, which is, I think, more than achievable. And with the risk of her watching this at all, but the risk of her watching it before comp, I would say I'm not going to give any other numbers up, but I could be looking at have her total more than that, which she'll obviously be very happy with. Already had that chat with her. I was like, look, you want 400? She's like, yeah, I want 400. Like, what if we, like, in my head I'm thinking, oh, I could have a really easy day here and I could just have a total 400. She'll be happy. But at the same time, she does want to qualify for more things later, and with this being our first comp, I also want to be really successful. So I've planned for a bit more, and she's relatively experienced at competing. I always just have the concern with new athletes to me, of missed commands, or, you know, I've seen some of her training. She's not sent a lot, but not many people do. So it's like, right, how strict have you been with comp standards? So I've been asking people she trains with, as well as asking her to send videos, and I've seen some, but angles aren't always the best on videos. So that's where we're at this weekend, and then next week I'll probably do a little review of how that's gone. I feel it's going to go pretty successfully. But then the next one for those two is the Super Training Summer Showdown. I think they have a relatively short turnaround. It's in July, so something like 12-16 weeks. Not that bad, like nothing that needs any like drastic programming or huge considerations. Matt's going straight back into training because this is hopefully going to be like a relatively easy comp. Alison gets a week off program, but you know, I do recommend athletes go to the gym after their comp, like the week after, 2-3 times at least. Just go in and lift things that you want, and then that's it. So then they're going to do July and then something around November, December time, so they got a bit more time after July to build a bigger total. We'll push Matt more in July. I think depends entirely how this weekend goes, depends on how much I push Alison. It could be that realistically she's gonna make more gains as we get closer to July, so I wouldn't necessarily even need to push her more than this weekend to get a better result, which is pretty cool. It's a great place to be in. But that's it. Next week's gonna be an interesting video if I remember to do it. This was almost late.